Well, it's great to get a few minutes with Tanuj, who is a software development engineer at Expedia. Tanuj, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so let's talk about your background. Which university did you go to? What was your major? And when did you graduate?
Okay, so I went to Purdue University and I majored in computer science with a track in software engineering, and I graduated in December of 2020.
Got it. Uh, when did you start searching for your job opportunities?
So during COVID times, it became a little tough. So I did have an offer. I would say since I graduated, like I would say like 2019, like around August or September 2019 is when I started searching, and I had an offer with a startup in Indy, but that got taken away due to COVID. They weren't able to hire. So then again, I had to start searching in the summer of 2020. It was like around August again, and yeah. So I would say like right when I started my senior year is when I started searching for new jobs or full time jobs. I mean.
Got it, got it. And looking back now, what advice would you give to yourself in regards to the timing of beginning a job search? Do you think you had enough time, or would you have given yourself more time?
I would like say if you're looking for a software engineer job, most of the hires start in like August. So August is a good time to like start reaching out to people or like just networking, and maybe take the so I would say like around June is when you should start preparing for interviews and give you that like 2 3 months time. So when like you start applying for jobs, you are already prepared and you can do the interview like as fast as possible and like can get a job faster. I would just say.
Oh, that's amazing. So even before you actually start searching for jobs, you need to be prepared with the interviews. So
Yeah,
you start your interview
yeah,
prep a little bit earlier in summertime, and then in August when all the companies are coming with
yeah,
all the full-time opportunities. That's when you start
yeah,
applying, and you're already confident that you have prepared for the interview. So
yeah.
uh, it should be easier. Got it. So what was your approach for searching jobs? How did you search for job opportunities?
So during COVID, uh, I can talk about pre-COVID and during COVID as well.
Yeah.
So pre-COVID, the approach was pretty simple. My university had like recruiting events time to time. So I would get emails whenever they were, and I would just show up and like meet with people from that company who are like and give them my resume, talk about the opportunities they have available. There were also career fairs going on at that time, in-person career fairs. So that was a good opportunity to meet with the potential recruiter, like potential company you're going to be working for in person, and like showcase your skills and so in hope to get an interview. And applying online, of course, always helped. But things changed a lot during COVID because all these in-person recruiting events, career fairs, they're all gone. There's none of that, and a lot of companies also stopped hiring due to COVID. Like there were not enough open positions. So for that, what I did and what worked for me and my friends was reaching out managers or recruiters on LinkedIn directly. Like let's say you have a specific company in mind. For me, let's say Expedia. You search for people who are hiring like software engineers for Expedia on LinkedIn and reach out to them directly with a small like note saying like what are you studying, where are you studying, what are you looking for, and what experience do you have, and if there are any open positions in that role. So like that I felt was the most successful way of getting jobs during COVID, because I used it. My friends who also got a job, like 3 4 of them, they also had got the job through the same way. They just reached out to people on LinkedIn.
Got it. Nice. So now, if you were to look back and reflect on, how you approached your job search, how you were searching for job opportunities, pre-COVID as well as post-COVID, what advice would you give to yourself? Would you change something?
Um, I think it was pretty good. I wish I just started the process of reaching out on LinkedIn a little earlier. Maybe we started pre-COVID as well, because that's like not a lot of people are doing it at the start. People are just applying online and everything. So maybe that gave you a little more chance of getting seen by the manager or the recruiter. So that's one thing I would say I would change.
Nice. So let's talk about actually getting interviews. What do you do to actually get interviews from the companies you were applying for? Was there anything in particular that you were doing?
So I made like a kind of a schedule. So every day I would like a lot like an hour to just apply for jobs and reaching out to managers. So I would have like a sticker with which says like you have to like apply to 10 different jobs today and reach out to 5 different managers on LinkedIn
Hmm.
and spend that 1 hour doing that because like it will keep accumulating over time. And I also like for some time I also kept track of like what I was applying in an Excel sheet. So and like so I could like kind of know like what I already applied for, what's the status of the uh, jobs I've applied, am I getting anything back, so I can get like some information for myself later. Um, but yeah, that's like what I usually did to get the interviews. Just kept on applying in big numbers because the more you apply, the better chance you have of getting an interview back from someone.
That worked for you. Got it. And now, if you were to look back, would you have done something different in regards to getting the interviews? Because we all know that we apply for positions and we might not necessarily get interviews. Like we might have to do something else to actually get interviews for the positions we applied for. Maybe a follow up with the managers, or like you mentioned, right, just keeping track of things on Excel, and making sure that every single day you're allotting a little bit of time, and you have those actions every single day. Uh,
Yeah.
would you have done something different now looking back?
I would say maybe reach out to your friends or people you know who can refer you for the opportunities at the company. Because I did that to a certain extent, but I feel like that really helped like get interviews as well. Like a referral goes a long way to help get the interview. So if you can like if you have any person you know who can refer you for a job, do it.
Great, great advice. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times we don't necessarily express where we want to go with our friends, or just in general, like make it public that hey, I'm looking for these kind of positions at these companies.
Mm.
Uh, and if we do that, I personally also think that if they come across someone else who is working at that company, like then that person can connect you with that person, and you can probably get a referral through that. So
Yeah.
great. I mean, I think yeah, just getting referrals in general is phenomenal. Keeping that in mind, I think is phenomenal. Um, let's talk about your preparation for interviews.
Mm.
I know you mentioned that like in general, looking back, you would have started uh, learning about the interview questions, or just like being prepared about the interviews in summer, even before you apply
Mm.
for job opportunities.
Yeah.
How did you prepare for your interviews?
Um, so for software interviews, there's a couple of things. So first of all, most of the colleges they offer a data structures class, which if you should take definitely and try to learn as much as you can because that's like what they test you on in the most of the interviews, like your data structures knowledge. And so first of all, I did was in the summer. This is this website called interviewbit.com. What they have is they have like different topics in data structures like arrays, hash maps, trees, and in each topic they have some notes and videos for you to watch to learn more about a data structure. So that's what I did. And if I didn't understand something, I would like go to Google and like learn more about it. Like Geeks for Geeks was really helpful with that and understanding the concepts a little better. And once you understood the concepts a little better, start with doing lead code, like easy and medium level questions. And so that helps a lot. Try to do like maybe like 4 or 5 questions a day. And don't always look for just like, oh, it's a working solution. Try to optimize it as well because there might be something that works like let's say for a small input, but it will time out for a larger input. So like LeetCode also has this option where you can see the other solutions with time complexity. So you'll get to know like if your solution is up to the par or not. And I would say once you do get an interview with some company uh, and you have a time schedule, use like a week or two to only do that company specific questions with which appear more often from that company. So you're prepared for like if they ask from that same like list of questions.
Beautiful. So, you talked about how to prepare for technical interviews. Were there any behavioral interviews that you were anticipating? And if so, how you're preparing for those?
Yeah, so there were behavior interviews as well. So what I did was most of the behavioral interviews like were based on my resume and like my past experiences working in a team. So I made a document on Google where I thought of the potential questions that can occur during a behavioral interview and gave it some time and wrote my answers there. So it came like and just read over them again and again. So when it came like they asked the same question or something similar to that, I knew what story to tell to like
Yes.
show my like skills. That's very important. I realized.
Got it. So now, looking back, in regards to the way you were preparing for your interviews, would you have done something different? Would you have changed your approach a little bit? Would you have learned something new?
I would say I would put more time on doing like one thing I was used to was like trying to do as many questions as I can during the day, but that's not the right approach. What I would do, like, try to, like, if you can't do 5 questions, it's okay. If you can only do three, but if you can do those 3 questions like in a really good way, we get the optimal solution
Mm-hmm.
and understand what every line of code does. That's better than just doing 5 questions in a not in the best way,
Got it.
because that will help you later, like, solve when similar questions occur again. You'll know what you did to, like, solve a question. You can use that concept to, like, do this question faster.
Beautiful. So quality over quantity in regards to preparing
Yeah,
for technical interviews.
yeah. In long term, it will help. Yeah,
Right? It's more valuable now. Because you're flipped back, it's more valuable than just doing a quantity of questions. Got it.
yeah.
So let's talk about some company-specific questions. Let's pivot towards Expedia and the software development engineering role. How did you come across this specific role of software development engineer to at Expedia?
So one of my friends, like, was interviewing for the Expedia as well, and he got an offer from another company, and he told me, like, yo, there's, like, this manager I know who's hiring for the same, who's hiring for, like, looking for SD if you're interested. And I was like, yeah, like, can you? And then he told the manager that one of my friends like me is interested in the role, and then we connected on LinkedIn, and then we got talking, and then we had an initial call, and then having that talk, the manager really liked me, so he set up interviews going forward.
Got it. So, how did you actually get an interview for this role? I know you mentioned that you got connected with the manager of the position through
Yeah.
LinkedIn. How did you actually get an interview? Like how did you like initiate that conversation with the manager, and how did you actually like land the first interview?
So, like, my initial call was with the manager himself, and we talked. He talked, asked me a little bit about my experience, about my background, and I told him, like, the things I can bring to the table for that specific role. I looked up the requirements for that role beforehand, like what to expect from someone who's working at this role and what they expect you to bring to the table. And I told stories like, I have experience in this and I've done this before, so I can think that can be valuable to me being to the position. And that talk led to me getting a next interview.
Oh, nice. And in regards to like the first approach to the manager, uh, what was your first message? I guess like what are the things that you're keeping in mind when you're sending that first message to the manager?
So my first message was usually like, "Hey, I'm Tanuj from Purdue University, majoring in computer science, and I'm looking for a full-time opportunity as a software engineer." And then I would go on to tell a little bit about my experience as a web and mobile developer.
Hmm.
And I would ask, like, I was like, "I see that you're hiring for this role, and I have experience in these technologies that you are working for with. And if I could get a chance to talk to you to, like, just to get started, like, learn more about the company and the role."
Amazing. And you knew that insight because of your friend, right? Your friend knew that manager, so like you knew that insight that that manager was
Yeah,
hiring for this position. So it's critical to like
yeah,
identify the positions that you're looking for as well as the managers and make that connection and make it like very clear that hey, I know that you're applying for these you're hiring for these positions and I'm interested and these are my
yeah.
skill sets and this is how it translates to the role.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that really helps. Like, if you know the position, your specific position, and you know the manager, it really helps you, like, get a, like, little in front of compared to other candidates. Cause like, instead of applying to a general position, let's say as a software engineer, big company, where there's like different teams that pick you, you know what they're looking for. You can, like, so you can tell your story a little better, I would say.
Amazing. So what was your interview process like at Expedia as the software development engineer role? How many interviews? What was the cadence like? The gaps between the interviews and what were those interviews about? Behavioral, technical, and so on and so forth. How many folks interviewed and things along those lines?
Yeah, so I can't talk too much about the interview process because I signed an NDA, but I can talk a little, like, I can talk like what I'm allowed to talk.
Sure.
So basically, the interview process was very smooth. After the initial call, there were 2 more rounds of interviews. The first interview was with a technical interview with one of the software engineers at the company who was working on this team, and we had a brief conversation about, like, my background, and then we did a couple of questions, like data structure questions, and he was very happy with it. And I think after the initial interview, the technical interview, it took maybe 3 or 4 days for the manager to reach out for the next round of interviews, which was the final round. And this time there were 4 45-minute interviews,
Okay.
ranging from behavioral and technical again. And Yeah, so like there were 4 back-to-back interviews, both technical and behavior. Similar to what the previous interview was, like the technical were more based on data structures. The behavioral one were most based on my background and my like experience with the technologies. And yeah, it was overall a very smooth interview process.
So it seems like it was a smooth interview process, and as well as it was crunched in like a short duration. It wasn't like, it took like a couple of weeks or a couple of or like a month for you to get the second interview. It was like super quick.
It was really quick. It was really quick.
Got it. And how long after your final interview round did you get the offer?
Um, I think it was like 16 hours, 16, 17. It was not even a day. Like I finished interviewing at like I think 5 p.m. on that day, whatever the interview was, and the next day when I woke up at like around 1 or 2, the manager emailed like, "Yo, everyone loved you and we would like to extend an offer."
Okay.
So the interview process was like really quick.
Nice. So, if I understand correctly, your last interview round was the panel, not the panel, but like a back-to-back 45-minute interview round. So you had 4.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And that was the last interview round. Got finished. The next day, you had the offer.
Yeah.
Got it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Any last piece of advice to any international student in particular, who is seeking for like full-time job opportunities in the US?
I would say like advice for if you're looking for internships, try getting on the lead code bandwagon a little early, because I waited a long time. I waited until my junior year. I didn't even know like how to prepare until my junior year, and I wish I had learned that before. Maybe in my freshman year, just a little bit of lead code calls. At that time, the companies that are hiring interns are not looking you to have that much experience and in data structures because you're still new.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a little knowledge, it puts you ahead of everyone else and has a better chance of landing an initial internship, which can help you land bigger jobs and internships later, because the other companies can see this guy has already worked at this company before, so he knows like how to work in the industry basically, and you have a better chance over other candidates. And for people who are in the final year looking for full-time positions, I would say apply to a lot of jobs, apply to as many jobs as possible, and start preparing a little early. And don't hesitate to reach out to managers or people who can refer you to the opportunities.
Amazing. Well, Tanuj, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.